But we are talking today about a pretty important topic, one I'm pretty tired of, quite frankly, because it makes
Literally,
me
that's
tired.
the but it's
But All right, so we're talking about the science of sleep disruption because of daylight savings time. Daylight savings time sucks, I think. I hate it every single year. I really hate the spring forward. The fall back, not so much, but the spring forward, it really frustrates me. So it's coming. It's going to be here soon. Dr. Damas, what in the world can CBD do to help us transition in this space?
they still got us doing this crazy thing with the daylight savings. It's preposterous,
And why?
um,
Why do we do
right? And they steal an hour from us, and we got to wait all the way to October to get that hour back.
Hmm.
And it's not just the inconvenience. There are actually medical things associated with that lost sleep. So
Oh,
that, yeah, so that lost sleep, that changing in the times in the fall, in the spring, actually has negative consequences on our health and
oh,
our productivity and a whole bunch of stuff. So basically, they cited this stuff into the law way back in like 1966. And,
mm.
like usual policies, it's like, oh, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to be great for society. We came up with this idea that we're going to change the clocks and that's going to fix our ills, right? And so they put this permanently into law in 1966. And curiously, what we found is like a lot of the things that they promised would happen, like energy savings, increased productivity, uh, more productivity from the farmers, and those kind of agriculture and manufacturing things. None of that stuff really happened,
Are
right?
you serious?
Yeah. So it just didn't happen, right?
I'm
Because
losing sleep behind some untested theories that got signed into law before I was born, and now I'm just stuck being tired.
exactly, exactly. And in addition, a lot of that policy was made in the time where we don't have the advances that we have now. There's a lot more automation. There's less labor, manual labor involved in a lot of tasks. Digitization of a lot of information. So things move quickly. So a lot of the things that this policy was founded on are kind of obsolete now. And then
And I,
what
I would just also add this. I'm looking at this year, 1966. We had just got the Voting Rights Act in 1965. I don't feel like the black contingent of America was able to sufficiently weigh in on
yeah,
the situation. I think for the racism alone, we deserve a revote.
you know
We
what? That's a very important, actually, you might say that like kind of tongue in cheek, but it's a very important thing to consider is that
Hmm,
the policies were made and a large swath of the population did not have any input in that, but
yeah.
it affects that population, especially since that population was involved in a lot of these vocations that needed them to be there at a certain time and put in all this heavy manual labor, right? So
Mhm.
the people who are getting up and were like doing this kind of work that they were like, oh, it's going to make them more productive, were people on the lower socioeconomic rung of things, which would be us, and we have no say in any of this.
Meanwhile, we already overworked and underpaid.
Yeah,
They like squeeze more out of them. They can handle it. Give
yeah.
them an extra day of daylight.
You know what I'm saying? Given
But
that.
it causes a lot of, if I understand what you're saying, it's not just a matter of like the unpleasantness of it. There is a physical impact on our bodies when we are dealing with sleep, when we're dealing with daylight savings time. Am I making too big a deal of that, or is there something really that we should be concerned about here?
So there are studies that have shown a number of negative things. The number one thing that, and this is what we're going to talk about today, is sleep disturbances, right? So for that first week, studies have shown people take at least 40 minutes longer to fall asleep than they previously did. Now,
Mhm.
if most of us are already dealing in a constant state of like sleep deprivation. So, like, you take 40 minutes away from us, that makes a big deal because we're
Mhm.
already on the edge, right? So, it's not like we have this great amount of bandwidth to accept these kind of disruptances in our life. Second thing is, for some people, it can last much, much longer. So, their entire sleep cycle is so you're looking at weeks to months of just like feeling lower amounts of energy,
Yeah.
um, decreased performance, decreased concentration, increased accidents at the workplace and on the road. And here's the
Wow.
wildest one that I found: increased incidences of heart attacks. Been a 3% increase of people getting adverse cardiac events around daylight savings time.
Damn.
Yeah,
And we already got more heart disease than everybody.
yeah,
We damn sure need a revote.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
insane.
Yeah. So when we look at like some of the, promises of this policy and then how it actually affects people, it's actually something that makes quality of life in a number of ways like worse. And we
Yeah.
can tell from me, this is just not like hyperbole. We have the data that shows like this policy is very disruptive and it doesn't come with the benefits that it promises. As a matter of fact, it actually comes up with negatives that would
Mm.
outweigh any of the benefits that you're talking about.
Yeah. Now I got to be honest with you. I see how sleep disruption can impact different demographics differently, right? Like so I see it in my kids. I'm already getting my little moo pie ready. Like we going to bed a little bit earlier cuz I feel like she's suffering from not getting enough sleep already. So but my teenager, he's a little bit more mom fine. I don't need a whole lot of sleep. I'm
Mhm.
good. Cuz he's 17 and grown and pretends he's got bass in his voice, which he
Is
really
that
does.
his voice right there? Is
Right,
that
that's his voice right there. But are we seeing differences across demographics in terms of how daylight savings time impacts our sleep health? And I'm going to call it sleep health because if we're talking about more heart attacks and accidents at work from this policy, then sleep health is a thing.
Yep. So you made a good point about your kid. So teenagers have the greatest amount of, or one of the largest amounts of sleep disturbance. Obviously, they're sleeping a lot already because their bodies are growing. They're doing a lot of development. So that's why they're sleeping a lot in the first place, right? But it's harder for them to adjust to those changes because of their body's metabolic needs. Like they're going through a rapid period of growth right now. And so when you start throwing off their sleep, it throws them off big time. So you'll see things like decreased performance in school, decreased concentration, straight
Mm,
up lethargy, moodiness, those type of things that you'll find in the kids. And back in the day, you'll be like, "Yo, what's wrong with this kid? Get your ass in gear." Now we understand a little bit more that there's a science to it. As a matter of fact, some school districts have changed the school schedule for high school kids and
yep.
those knowing that, realizing like they need more sleep. And if you get
Yeah.
them up earlier in the morning, it's not going to work out well for them. So they'll start their day later than like the adolescent kids or the grade school kids. And
Right.
then we find that women are more likely
Damn it.
to experience. Damn, it's always right. We always got y'all right. But women are
Bad
more.
enough if you have a vagina, you're not supposed to vote. Now we have sleep disturbances too. Come on. What's happening here?
Uh,
Jesus.
yeah. So women more likely to suffer from sleep disturbances after daylight saving time. And then I'm gonna give you a double whammy, Laurie, just because I love you. And African Americans, Black people
God.
suffer more sleep disturbances.
That's because we stress about all them extra cops in the subway. Talk
And
about a
what
psychological
is
impact.
that about? New York City is wild, and what is going on?
Bruh,
That's
you need
another.
to. I've never said you should stay in Florida and don't come back to New York, but on this topic, Florida might be a safer space.
They
I don't know, which is
what
that's pretty
kind of
scary.
Gestapo? I don't know what is going on in New York,
Bruh.
and right. And but here's a good thing. Here's a good thing. So we gave you two shots, Larry, but I'm going to take one back. People who are married or have a partner are
Oh,
more resistant to the sleep disturbances from daylight savings
huh.
than people who are
Okay.
single. So there you go. Tonight you'll hug up
Like
your man
it.
and say, "Come on, baby, let's go to sleep."
It's daylight savings time. Let's go to sleep.
Let's go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? We got our shield. We are protected by our love.
I love it. Love doesn't conquer all, but it will help you sleep a little bit better at night. So I know at some point we're going to get to the CBD side of this conversation, but one of the things I always say is I appreciate about you, Dr. Damas, is you don't just jump right to the plant because there are other things that we should be incorporating. That's one of the reasons I like having conversations with holistic doctors who aren't just looking to the thing that they specialize in as a solution. Is there anything we can do beyond the CBD? What else can we do to help get ready for it? Because it's coming every year. It's on the calendar already. What
Yeah,
can we do to minimize the harm that it can cause?
perfect thing, right? Because we know it's coming every year. So
Yeah.
it's the second Sunday of the month, so it's going to be this Sunday coming up, right?
Jesus.
And so one of
Oh crap. No, my daughter has a dance competition. She always supposed to be somewhere at 7 o'clock in the morning.
the
Oh my God. It's this weekend?
Yeah, you better step up your game. Yeah, don't let it sneak up
I
on
need a
you.
nap. I need a nap now.
You need it now. That shit.
Oh, I gotta make sure all the dance moms
Ladies
that
on
we know what's
TV.
happening,
All right, we're
Lord.
gonna
And
set
we all
this.
black and brown too, so you know we gonna need an extra. Come
Yeah,
on, get up, get the clock together. Oh, okay. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. That's not good news. Okay, second
no,
Sunday of this month. It's
yeah.
coming. It's
It's
here.
So one of the things that you can do is prepare yourself by slowly incrementing or changing your sleep patterns and going to sleep a little bit earlier by
Mm,
5, 10, 15 minutes per day so that when it happens, it's not a big disruption to your system, right?
okay.
So like you kind of plan for it to come, which is a great way to do that because you're going to do that anyway. You're going to have to adjust to that cycle anyway. So you
Right.
can either be forced to do it, right? And so it's like it happens, and now I got to catch up to do it, or you can slowly get yourself going so that when it happens, you're kind of like, I was
Yeah.
ready for it, right? So that's a great way of doing it. Practicing sleep hygiene, which is something that we talk about. And so, good sleep hygiene are the methods and the ways that you go about preparing yourself for sleep and
Mm,
actually sleeping. So that means, instead of waiting to the last minute and then jumping in bed, oh man, I got to be up at 6, so I'm gonna go to bed at 10 and it's 9:55. And that's when you're like, all right, cool. Now I'm gonna go. I expect to be in bed and asleep by 10. That's not gonna happen. So
mm,
little tidbits are like, setting your temperature that you like to sleep at an hour before you go to sleep so that when you get into the bed, the room is at the temperature that's comfortable for you. Turning off stimulatory devices like your screens and TVs prior to
yeah.
that. There's lots and lots and lots of studies that show a correlation between screen time and stimulus and inability to sleep. So shutting that off, real talk, this is old school stuff, but shutting
Yep.
that
Yep.
stuff off and reading a book or something will do that. Prayer, meditation, so quiet time will do
Mm,
that stuff. And avoiding stimulants. So caffeine,
yep.
Coca-Cola, all those things, sugary drinks and substances before bedtime, because those will stimulate your system. Sugar, refined sugar, is a very strong stimulant that we don't
Mm,
pay enough attention to. And of course, the caffeine, we don't you specifically take it to give you energy, right? And
right.
so,
Right.
you
I
know,
think that also includes not doing dessert too late. That's one thing I realized with my kids. I would, we'd eat dinner and then I would hold dessert until after they finished their evening chores. But then I realized you eating a whole ass slice of pie right before you go to bed. This is a problem. Making sure that your meal times are early enough so that whatever sugary thing you might provide after, if you do dessert and it's got a high sugar content, making sure that that's not like, have this slice of pie and then go brush your teeth and get ready for bed. That's not a winning solution. Don't ask me how I know, but I know.
they'll be amped up, pumped up, right? Jumping off the bed. And then
Exactly.
one last simple thing that people do, and I always tell my patients this, even though I live in Florida, is sunlight. So even though we live in quote unquote the sunshine state, most of us work indoors. So we're spending the majority of our time inside someplace that is prohibiting us from getting direct sun contact, right? So the sun
Mm,
does a lot of things for us. It helps us with our immune system, helps us with mood, with production of serotonin, but it also helps us get in tune with our sleep cycle
yeah.
because it actually signals things in our body and our brain that says these are the waking hours, right? And these are not the waking hours. And when you're in the absence of that, and I love to say it's like being in the absence of God's light. Saying like, you're not good,
Poetic. I like that.
right? When you're not in the presence of God's light, you're going to be off, off your game. You're going to be off
Mm.
in many, many ways. So I always tell people, especially us who are wrapped in that beautiful brown velvety skin like yours, right? That
Hey,
stuff is
melanin is a thing. It is
yeah,
a
it's a
healer.
powerhouse.
It
It
is.
does a lot of things. So we need to go outside. And now it's March, it's getting warmer, so you have an opportunity to get more sunlight.
I love it. I love it. And now I also do a lot of when it comes to herbal remedies. I think that's also something that I know a lot of folks do. There's some teas that I really like, and I know you've mentioned before chamomile tea, valerian root, which is really great. But those things also for people who want a tea, they want a calming, soothing, that making that a part of your bedtime hygiene, I think is great. I know melatonin is something that a lot of folks use. I have never used melatonin. What do you know about how that can also be used for sleep support?
Melatonin is a hormone that's naturally produced by us, right? So it helps with the sleep wake cycle and helps people go to sleep. I've
Mm.
tried it in the past. I've had mixed results with it. One of the issues that I've had with it, and this is a side effect of it, is it makes you want to pee at night, right?
Oh,
So
that sucks.
yeah, exactly. So like I'm trying to sleep, but then I get up because this thing is making me want to go pee. It's disrupting my sleep.
Counterproductive.
Exactly. So, and it's some people a lot, some people claim, feel like it doesn't give them any results, right, that they
Oh,
want. So
okay.
melatonin is a popular thing that people use, like you mentioned, valerian root, chamomile tea. So there's a lot of those things. I like to, keep it down. So make sure you're not drinking black tea and those kind of things. And
Right.
remember, just because Western medicine doesn't say this is a thing doesn't mean that it's not a thing. These people have existed long before Western medicine,
Come on.
right? So they're not know-it-alls. It's the truth, right? Because they will prescribe you some other things, right? So there's a lot of over-the-counter sleep aids.
Yeah.
Tried them out. Man, I've done everything from like Tylenol PM to Benadryl. Um, there's like prescription sleep aids like Ambien, or you can get like benzodiazepines like Xanax or Ativan. And
Don't some of those make you do like weird stuff in
yeah,
your sleep, like
so
fuck
yeah,
and
so
yeah.
the Ambien, which is the generic name is Zolpidem, it has the potential to have you sleepwalking. You'll do sleep
Mm.
eating. Sometimes people get night terrors or nightmares from that. Sleep paralysis, where it's like I'm awake but I can't move my body, which is a
Oh, the devil is
horrible.
alive. That can happen.
Yeah, right. So
Oh,
that happened.
clutching my cowrie shells, Lord.
She did clutch her pearl.
Now clutching the cowrie shells. Let me, Jesus, be a sleep paralysis preventer. Good mugger.
Yeah, it's a horrible feeling if you think about it, right? So people who talk about sleep paralysis talk about how terrifying it is. And so those things also can, though, especially the strong prescription ones, uh,
Yeah.
there's a risk of overdose or misuse. They cause respiratory depression. So if you're someone who has sleep apnea or other, respiratory conditions that make it difficult for you, those things decrease your respiratory drive. If you have got cardiac problems, let's say you've got, early stages of heart failure or some other cardiac dysfunction, they
Mm.
slow down your ability of your heart to beat. So you take these strong, even the over counter stuff, but prescription sleep things, they're not free. I mean, in
Yeah.
terms of like, there is a cost, and the cost
Right.
risk to your overall health and well being. And they don't mix with other stuff well.
Wow.
So they don't mix with alcohol well. They don't mix with other drugs, of their class or other things well. So you're always on the edge when you're using
Mm.
those things. And the way you metabolize them is varies very very much between people, so that I might take something and in the morning I'm groggy and I'm still drowsy, and it's a small, which was one of my issues, when they gave me those meds, was like, man, in the morning I'm still a zombie, like I can't do
Right.
this,
That's
right?
not
And
good.
so right, then
Yeah, no
somebody
bueno.
else, yeah, no bueno whatsoever.
Now, I will say this because I'm watching the clock and I'm mindful that you and I are both now adjusting to the fact that you're in the second hour because I was about to wax poetic about something. We ain't got no time for that. We almost at the end of the show. Okay, so I want to switch to the CBD component because I have, when I've had issues with sleep in the past, I've tried a couple of different things and even some of the natural stuff still does I tried Delta 9 before because a friend of mine had said, this is really good for sleep. I'd spoken with some medical professionals. They were like, yeah, we've seen there's good, some good results, but it still had me. I had the groggy in the morning. If you take it too late, it was still like, well, this ain't gonna work. But then I did try CBD. I've tried the tinctures. I've tried some of your products as well, the tinctures, the capsules, and did not have that at all. And so what's happening in CBD that allows people to get sleep without the groggy, funky feeling in the morning, without the high? Because again, for folks who are listening to this segment for the first time, CBD is a component of the cannabis plant that does not get you high. It gives you all the benefits but the high. And the THC side is the side that will get you high. But when it comes to sleep, I had really good results with CBD.
Yeah, that sleep is good. Sometimes I tell people it's like being in a movie, in like a sci-fi movie, and then they wake you up from your sleep pod and they're like, welcome to the Andromeda Galaxy. You've been asleep for 3 months. You're like, what? Get
Well, no,
out of
I never had that.
here.
But
I feel great. What? So that I love like getting a good night's sleep from that because
yeah.
I don't get up in the middle of the night, right, to go pee or do anything. I don't just
Mhm.
like sometimes I'm sleeping. I just wake up in the middle of the night. And I can't go back to sleep. So
Yep.
helps me it helps me stay asleep through the night, which is very important because you have to go through these uninterrupted sleep cycles at night in order to get fully charged in the morning.
Right.
What you spoke about is the morning grogginess, right? So
Right.
now, and it works because of its half life in your body. So, how long it takes for your body to eliminate half of it, and the way that it works in the receptors in your brain, right? So,
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily, unlike the THC products, which directly attach themselves to your cannabinoid receptors. So, they mimic a lot of what your body naturally
Mhm.
produces. So when you consume THC, it's literally copying what your body would naturally do, but at a higher, more powerful thing, right? And we've mentioned this in the past, like you get natural highs from like running, you get natural highs from a lot of other things. With THC is a natural high, but just at a very intense level. And so CBD doesn't do that. And as a result of doing that, the way that it works on your receptors, it's a more balanced thing. It doesn't make you high. So you can actually like read before you go to sleep or chill out or do whatever you need to do.
Right.
And
Your
in the
thoughts are
morning,
clear. There's no
yeah.
impact on your cognition, your cognitive ability. Like your thoughts are amazing. They're just as amazing as they were before.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually, Dr. Damas, I see a comment or a question in one of the chats, and they said, does releasing oxytocin help to deal with sleep deprivation from daylight savings time? Do you have any thoughts about that? And then
Uh,
follow up was,
yeah.
if that's the case, does CBD assist your body in using the oxytocin more effectively?
Yeah, so oxytocin, I think we discussed this on our
Yeah.
sex in cannabis, in sex and CBD thing. So
Yep.
oxytocin is released by your body, right? After orgasm in high amounts, but in other parts. And it's believed to be one of the reasons why your body says, yeah, it's time to go to sleep, right? So if you've ever had a good session with your partner late at night, afterwards, you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go to sleep. You ready to sleep? Yeah, right. That's because of that,
The
right?
oxytocin? Okay. That
Yeah,
makes you
right.
got a lot of joy, a lot of gratitude and appreciation,
Yeah.
and now you can go to sleep. I
You can
like it.
trust. Yeah, all right. And so it is a contributor to you being able to fall asleep, right? But
Okay.
CBD doesn't work directly on that pathway. So it is
Mhm.
not a driver of that. There are other things that drive that, like I mentioned. But what it can do, one of the primary drivers of that actually is getting into a good sleep wake cycle. So getting into like your circadian rhythm, like getting into that, going out in the sunlight and doing all that stuff, that actually sets your body on a timer to be like, now it's time to release the hounds. It's open the gate, let them go to sleep, right? If you don't get in a good rhythm, you'll never get that because your body doesn't know when to turn it on. So the CBD will work on different mechanisms. One of them being GABA, which is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It
Right.
slows everything down. It also helps decrease pain. So if you take medications for neuropathy, like diabetic neuropathy, like Lyrica, um,
Mm.
yeah, gabapentin or pregabalin, it decreases pain, but it does that because it decreases the intensity of the electrical signals that are coming from your extremities or your body parts and that are being processed by your brain. So it kind of
Wow.
slows everything down.
So Now, one of the questions I have then I'm seeing a follow-up question in another group. What's the best way to consume it? Like what, and I know you have a variety of products like I said, I've tried the tincture, was it a tincture or an oil? No, it was a tincture and then the capsules. But what are some of the more readily accessible ways that people can actually consume CBD? Like, are we taking it an hour and a half before bed, right before say, all right, good night? Like, is it before the session with the partner? When's the best time to take it so that you're, going to be well positioned to take advantage of all that it's got to offer?
So I would say, before the session with the partner, it's a great thing. And we talked about that too,
It
because
ain't gonna make you sleepy during your session.
the only thing that's going to make you sleepy during the session is the session itself.
Well, praise the
If the session is
May the
right,
saint be praised.
that is so it helps relax, it helps your muscles relax, it helps your mind get off of other things and distractions, so it allows you to be more focused in what you're doing. But it depends on what your issues are. For example, some people have issues going to sleep, but once they're asleep, they're out like a rock. They ain't waking up, right?
Yeah.
So I'll say for those people, I'm not a big smoker, but some people like smoking. That's just their thing. It's part of like a ritual. Those things, when you inhale them, they hit your body quicker, but they don't stay in your system. So you can smoke or inhale or vape something, and within 2 to 5 minutes, you're feeling the effects, but they only last for like 2 hours. So if you're somebody who gets up in the middle of the night, inhaling, vaping, smoking is not for you, because the effects are going to wear off in like 2 hours, and then you're going to be up again, right? Which is not what you want. Now, when you eat the things or drink them, so we're looking at the tinctures, and tincture is just a suspension of an oil in another oil, right? So it's just a mixture of oils. Ours is the CBD oil, and we use organic olive oil, or we use organic coconut oil to kind of like to balance it out, right? And so use the tinctures, you get absorption faster because you put it in under your tongue, stays in your mouth, and your body starts absorbing it there. And then you swallow it, and then the rest of the absorption takes place. That takes a little longer than smoking. It takes about 15 to 30 minutes for you to feel the effects, sometimes an hour, but it stays longer in your system, 6 to 8 hours. And then when you eat like capsules, gummies, or anything like that, or if you make a tea, sometimes I'll make a tea out of our tinctures. So I'll do my little chamomile and and my little tea, my nighttime tea, and I'll put the CBD in there because it's got the flavoring. I like the smell of it. It's got like the caramel and vanilla. And if you drink it or eat it, it takes a little longer to get processed in your system because your liver has to break it down, but it stays in your system longer. So it'll stay in
Huh.
your system for 8 hours. Now you get a good 8 hours of sleep. And
Right.
by the time you wake up, half of that is gone out of your system. So that's why you're not groggy whatsoever.
I love
So yeah. And then the last thing are the topical things, which are like roll-ons and lotions and things like that. And they don't necessarily put you to sleep, but they take the edge off of any aches and pains that could be bothering you. And that's really important because pain is a big detractor of sleep. So
right.
if
Right.
if your corns are hurting, or no, if your back is hurting, your
Pain
hip is hurting
corns.
you if your dogs are barking at the end of the night, it's not going to help you sleep if your body's hurt. Every time you turn around, turn to the side, you feel a sharp pain. If you can
Mm.
take the edge off of it, that'll help you sleep better as well. And so the combination of all these things should serve to improve your chances of not getting all jacked up starting on Monday or Sunday. Well, Sunday morning when you got to go to your joint at 7 a.m., or for the rest of the week, and decrease your chance of getting a heart attack or having a car accident or making errors at work or just being completely in a fog because you're sleep deprived.
Now I gotta be honest with you. I'm low key irritated. Like, how would you plan a dance competition that starts at 7 o'clock in the morning on the weekend of daylight savings time? I'm gonna put that aside for another day. I'm gonna have to protest this and have to figure out how to advocate around this. But Dr. Damas, one of the things that we don't want people doing is, well, I have a hard time sleeping, so I'm just gonna do everything that doctor said. I feel like they should speak with someone because you don't want to have people engaging in a whole lot of self-diagnosis because your lack of ability to sleep might be related to something beyond to some of the issues that we've discussed. Is that something that if people contact your office and then here's where you insert your number, is that something where people contact your office they could talk with your team about to just to get some guidance on how to approach this the best?
Y'all can tell you got some good sleep last night. You're sharp right there. You got multiple process
I'm actually
working
exhausted. I
seamlessly.
actually got no good sleep last night.
Yo.
Was up super late, fretting about this and that. He flew in late, so it was like a whole thing. Like, so yeah, maybe I'll be even more sharp when I do have a good night's sleep.
Under the fire. So we love it when people contact us, ask questions. I prefer people have safe things and they don't go off
Yeah,
on their own, doing things that could A, be detrimental to them, or B, not be the solution they're looking for. So, and always give us a call if you need. It's 833-362-3262, 833-362-3262. Or you can go to the website, drdamas.com, drdamas.com, or you can spell it out, Dr. Damas, damas.com. Purchase anything you want on the site. Put some respect on my sister's name. Even though she's sleep deprived, she's still on top of her game. Y'all ain't know I could rhyme. You see that? I was off the top of my head, right?